They weren't built for fame. They weren't built to look pretty. These machines were built for one thing: work. From the muddy fields of post-war Britain to the sun-scorched farms of America, these tractors plowed the land that fed the world. They pulled through droughts, wars, and decades of hard labor, and they kept running long after their makers were gone. Today, we're not looking at prototypes or forgotten relics. We're looking at the 10 best-selling tractors in human history. The machines that changed farming forever. So, fire up your engines, tighten your grip on that steering wheel, and let's roll through a century of steel, sweat, and horsepower, because this is the story of the 10 best-selling tractors in history. Number 1. Fordson Model F and the Fordson family. The Fordson Model F wasn't just another piece of machinery. It was the world's first truly mass-produced tractor, a machine that turned the Industrial Revolution loose on the farm. Before it arrived, tractors were mostly massive, expensive steam-driven beasts, or early gas tractors built in small numbers. They were too costly and too heavy for most farmers. But Henry Ford, the man who put America on wheels with the Model T, saw a future where machines would also replace horses in the field. When Ford introduced the Fordson Model F in 1917, it changed everything. This was the first tractor built using the assembly line, the same revolutionary system that had made the Model T affordable to millions. The Fordson was compact, weighing only about 2,700 pounds, and produced around 20 horsepower from its simple 4-cylinder engine. It could do the work of several horses but required no feeding, resting, or stable. Its real genius, however, was in its price and scale. Ford deliberately slashed costs to put the tractor within reach of every farmer. By 1920, it sold for around $750, a fraction of what other tractors cost at the time. Demand exploded. In just a few short years, the Ford Motor Company's factories in Dearborn and Cork, Ireland, couldn't keep up with orders. Between 1917 and 1928, Ford produced roughly 755,000 Fordson tractors, with more than 500,000 units sold in the United States alone. For context, that was more than all other tractor manufacturers combined at the time. By the mid-1920s, the Fordson had become the best-selling tractor in the world. It was exported to over 30 countries, from Canada and Britain to Russia, where it became the basis for early Soviet tractor production. Farmers loved its simplicity. A single plunger carburetor, magneto ignition, and minimal moving parts made it easy to repair in the field. Of course, it had flaws. Solid steel wheels made for a rough ride, and its short wheelbase meant it could tip backward under load. But despite its quirks, the Fordson did something no tractor had ever done before. It made mechanized farming affordable for the average person. The Fordson didn't just plow fields, it plowed the path for every tractor that came after it. With over 750,000 units built worldwide, it stands as the first global tractor phenomenon, the machine that truly put agriculture on the road to modernization. Number 2. Ford 8N. If the Fordson was the tractor that started it all, the Ford 8N was the one that perfected it. Introduced in 1947, the 8N became a cultural icon, the red and gray workhorse that symbolized the heart of post-war American farming. Built during a time when returning soldiers were buying land and families were rebuilding the country's food system, the 8N arrived at exactly the right moment. The Ford 8N was the third generation of Ford's N-Series tractors, following the 9N 1939, but the 8N brought major upgrades: a new 4-speed transmission, improved hydraulic system, and better ergonomics. It also featured a more refined version of the Ferguson 3-point hitch system, which allowed implements to raise and lower hydraulically, a game-changing innovation that made the tractor far more versatile. Under the hood, the 8N packed a 120 cubic inch 4-cylinder engine, producing about 27 horsepower, not huge by modern standards, but plenty for plowing, mowing, or hauling. Its simplicity was its strength. The design was so clean and accessible that farmers could perform most repairs themselves using basic tools. What made the 8N a legend, however, was its availability and affordability. Ford's massive dealer network ensured parts and service were easy to find. The company's reputation, combined with clever advertising, positioned the 8N as the everyman's tractor. By 1952, more than 500,000 units had been sold, an astounding number for the time. Even today, 8Ns can be found working in fields or parading through tractor shows. Their timeless design, easy maintenance, and sheer durability have made them one of the most beloved tractors ever built. For many farmers, the Ford 8N wasn't just a tool, it was a family member that helped feed generations. The 8N represents an era when engineering was simple, honest, and built to last. It didn't rely on electronics or luxury, just metal, muscle, and mechanical brilliance. Number 3. Massey Ferguson 35. In the 1950s, as farming expanded across continents, one tractor managed to bridge the gap between advanced technology and global accessibility, the Massey Ferguson 35. Released in 1956 as the successor to the famous Ferguson TE20, the MF35 combined British engineering precision with rugged practicality. It wasn't flashy, but it was unstoppable. The tractor that powered farms from the English countryside to the Indian plains. Under its hood, the MF35 offered a choice between gasoline, diesel, and later three-cylinder Perkins diesel engines, the latter earning a reputation for unbeatable reliability and fuel efficiency. With around 35 horsepower, hence the name, it had enough muscle for plowing, planting, and hauling, yet remained small enough to maneuver on tight farmlands. Its three-point hitch system made it compatible with a wide variety of implements, giving it incredible versatility. What truly made the MF35 legendary was its global reach. Built not only in the UK, but also in the US and later licensed to manufacturers in India and Africa, this tractor became the face of modernization in developing nations. In India, it was produced for decades by Tafy Tractors and Farm Equipment Limited, helping millions of small farmers mechanize their fields for the first time. The MF35's success also came from its durability. It was simple enough for a farmer with minimal training to maintain, yet tough enough to run for decades. Farmers praised its balance, torque, and smooth operation, a rare combination for its size. By the end of its production, over 388,000 units had been sold, cementing its place among the best-selling tractors of all time. But numbers only tell part of the story. The MF35 wasn't just sold, it was adopted, embraced by farmers worldwide as a symbol of reliability and progress. Today you can still find MF35s working the land in rural corners of the world, proving that true engineering doesn't age, it endures. Number 4. Farmall H. Before air-conditioned cabs and touchscreen dashboards, there was the Farmall H, a red steel workhorse that dominated America's heartland. Introduced in 1939 by International Harvester, the Farmall H was the perfect balance of power, simplicity, and versatility. It was the tractor that helped feed a nation through war, prosperity, and everything in between. With its 152 cubic inch four-cylinder engine, the Farmall H delivered about 26 horsepower, ideal for small and medium farms. It could handle plowing, cultivating, and hauling, the everyday chores that defined rural life. But what made the H special wasn't just its performance, it was the engineering philosophy behind it. International Harvester designed the H as part of its revolutionary letter series, a lineup that included the A, B, C, H, and M models. Each letter represented a size and purpose, making it easy for farmers to choose the right tractor for their operation. The Pointise quickly became the most popular of the bunch. Its narrow front-end design allowed it to navigate between crop rows, while its affordable price made it accessible to family farms. During World War II, when resources were scarce, the H proved indispensable. Its rugged simplicity meant it could run day after day with minimal maintenance. Post-war, its production skyrocketed, with over 390,000 units built by 1953. Across the American Midwest, the Farmall H became a symbol of honest labor, red paint faded from years in the sun, engines that still fired up every morning. What truly set it apart was its longevity. Decades later, thousands of H tractors are still running, restored by collectors or working in small farms. Farmers often describe them as bulletproof, and that's no exaggeration. The Farmall H embodied the spirit of a generation that believed in hard work, mechanical simplicity, and machines that outlived their owners. In a world now ruled by sensors and computers, the Farmall H stands as a monument to a different kind of power, the mechanical heartbeat of American farming. Number 5. Massey Ferguson 135. When you think of a tractor that defined small farming across continents, one name rises above all: the Massey Ferguson 135. Introduced in 1964 as the successor to the legendary MF35, the 135 took everything that made its predecessor great and refined it into one of the most reliable and best-selling tractors in history. The MF 135 was simple, efficient, and nearly indestructible. It came with either a 2.5-liter Perkins 3-cylinder diesel engine or a gasoline option, producing between 37 and 45 horsepower, the perfect range for small to medium farms. It was rugged enough for plowing and planting, but gentle enough for orchard and vineyard work. Farmers loved how smooth the Perkins engine ran. It sipped fuel, started easily even in cold weather, and seemed to last forever. Between 1964 and 1975, Massey Ferguson produced around 350,000 units of the MF135 worldwide, with countless more built under license in countries like India, Turkey, and Nigeria. Its simplicity made it easy to maintain anywhere in the world, whether in the farmlands of England or the rice paddies of Southeast Asia. That global reach cemented its legendary reputation. What really set the MF135 apart was its balance of comfort and capability. It had a fully independent power takeoff (PTO), improved hydraulics, and a well-laid-out operator station. Everything was designed for ease: easy to start, easy to drive, easy to fix. And in an era when tractors were getting bigger and more complicated, the MF135 stayed honest and straightforward, a farmer's machine built by people who understood farming. Today, over half a century later, thousands of MF135s are still running, some even on their original engines. It's not uncommon to hear of these tractors logging over 10,000 working hours with minimal maintenance. In the developing world, it became the backbone of agricultural mechanization, earning nicknames like the Immortal Tractor. The MF135 proved that greatness doesn't come from luxury or power. It comes from trust. And no machine earned farmers' trust quite like this one. Number 6. John Deere Model A. If you've ever stood beside an old John Deere Johnny Popper and felt its distinctive pop-pop exhaust note echo through the air, you've heard history running. That sound belonged to the John Deere Model A, the tractor that turned John Deere from a plow company into a global farming empire. Introduced in 1934, the Model A was John Deere's first true row crop tractor, designed to handle everything from plowing to cultivating. Its 2-cylinder horizontal engine, producing around 29 horsepower, became iconic for both its power and its rhythm. Farmers could hear a Deere working from a mile away. The Model A came at the perfect time. The Great Depression had devastated American farmers, and they needed a tractor that was affordable, dependable, and versatile. Deere answered with a machine that could be used year-round, planting, cultivating, mowing, and hauling. Its adjustable rear wheel spacing made it ideal for row crops, while optional electric start and rubber tires made it far more comfortable than earlier steel-wheeled monsters. Between 1934 and 1952, Deere produced nearly 300,000 Model A tractors, making it one of the company's best sellers ever. The success of the A paved the way for the smaller Model B and the larger Model G, creating an entire family of tractors that dominated American farms for decades. But what made the Model A so beloved wasn't just performance, it was personality. That rhythmic 2-cylinder engine wasn't just functional, it was musical. Farmers who owned one often said they could tell how their tractor was running just by listening. Its simplicity meant repairs were easy and cheap, and parts availability ensured it could stay in service for generations. Even today, collectors prize the Model A for its charm and ruggedness. Many have been restored to showroom condition, but just as many still work the land, proof that the legacy of this Johnny Popper lives on. The John Deere Model A didn't just sell 300,000 units. It sold a dream of independence, of owning a machine that could do it all and keep going no matter what. Number 7. John Deere 4020. By the early 1960s, farming was changing fast. Fields were larger, implements were heavier, and farmers needed more power and comfort than ever before. John Deere answered that call with the 4020, a tractor so ahead of its time that it became one of the best-selling tractors of the modern era. Introduced in 1963 as part of Deere's new generation of power, the 4020 came with a 6-cylinder 404 cubic inch diesel engine producing 95 PTO horsepower, an enormous figure for its time. This was the tractor that could pull a 5-bottom plow all day without breaking a sweat. It featured power steering, hydraulic brakes, differential lock, and optional power shift transmission, luxury-level technology for farmers in the 1960s. But what really made the 4020 a star was its dependability. Deere engineers built it to handle years of hard use with minimal downtime. Farmers found that even after 10,000 hours, the engines still had life left in them. It was the tractor that made John Deere the go-to brand for serious farmers. Between 1963 and 1972, John Deere sold approximately 184,000 units of the 4020, more than any other tractor in its horsepower class. It became the yardstick by which all other tractors were measured. And because it shared components with other Deere models, it was easy to service, ensuring long-term loyalty from owners. Farmers loved its comfort and control. The seat was adjustable, the controls intuitive, and the visibility excellent. It wasn't just a machine, it was a partner that worked as hard as they did. Even today, half a century later, thousands of 4020s are still in use across North America. In tractor history, there are good machines, great machines, and legends. The 4020 falls into the last category. It combined old-school toughness with new-age power, and that made it unforgettable. Number 8. Ferguson TE20. Few tractors in history have had an impact as wide-reaching as the Ferguson TE20, affectionately known as the Little Gray Fergie. Introduced in 1946, this small, unassuming machine brought mechanized farming to millions and introduced one of the most revolutionary inventions in tractor history, the 3-point hitch system. Designed by the brilliant engineer Harry Ferguson, the TE20 Tractor England was the first to integrate his hydraulic linkage system, a design so effective that it's still used in improved form on every modern tractor today. The 3-point hitch allowed implements to rise and fall with hydraulic precision, giving farmers unprecedented control and safety. No more dangerous drawbars or awkward connections. Ferguson's system changed everything. Under its gray hood, the TE20 featured a 4-cylinder Standard Motor Company engine, producing around 20 horsepower, modest on paper, but more than capable in the field. It was compact, efficient, and easy to maintain, qualities that made it perfect for small and medium-sized farms. The TE20 became an instant success, not just in the UK, but globally. Between 1946 and 1956, over 517,000 units were produced in Coventry, England. But the story didn't stop there. Its American cousin, the TO20 and TO30, produced in Detroit, added hundreds of thousands more to the tally. Together, the TE and TO variants surpassed 600,000 units sold worldwide. Its global reach was immense. The TE20 was exported to over 60 countries and became especially popular in New Zealand, Australia, and Africa. In post-war Britain, it was the machine that got food production back on track. In developing nations, it was the tractor that gave small farmers power and independence for the first time. Even today, many TE20s still start right up after decades of service, a testament to Ferguson's design philosophy: simplicity, efficiency, and durability. The TE20 wasn't the biggest, the strongest, or the fastest, but it was the most revolutionary. With over 600,000 units sold and a design that redefined tractor engineering forever, the little gray Fergie truly earned its place as one of the greatest tractors in history. Number 9. Farmall M. If the Farmall H was the heart of America's farms, the Farmall M was its muscle. Built by International Harvester between 1939 and 1952, the Farmall M became the workhorse for larger farms that needed serious pulling power without sacrificing reliability. It wasn't just another tractor. It was the symbol of American agricultural strength during and after World War II. Powered by a 4.1-liter four-cylinder gasoline engine producing around 36 to 40 horsepower, the Farmall M had the grunt to handle 3-bottom plows and heavy tillage equipment, tasks that smaller tractors simply couldn't manage. It was rugged, straightforward, and nearly impossible to kill. When International Harvester released the M, they knew exactly what farmers wanted: a machine that could run sunrise to sunset without complaint. The shared the same design philosophy as its smaller sibling, the Farmall H, a narrow front end for row crops, a high ground clearance, and excellent balance. But it also offered optional upgrades like electric start, hydraulics, and rubber tires, which made it far more comfortable and versatile. During the war, the M became indispensable, keeping food production steady while manpower was sent overseas. From 1939 to 1952, International Harvester produced approximately 270,140 Farmall M units, making it one of the best-selling large tractors in U.S. history. Later, Super M versions added more horsepower and improved hydraulics, continuing the legacy into the mid-1950s. But numbers only tell half the story. What made the Farmall legendary was its durability. Farmers tell stories of these machines sitting in barns for decades, then firing up after a quick oil change and a fresh battery. Its simple, overbuilt design ensured that even today, you'll find Farmall Ms. still working fields or restored to glory by collectors. The Farmall represented an era when American farming was expanding rapidly, when horsepower meant independence. It was the tractor that made big farms manageable, that kept wartime agriculture alive, and that proved mechanical reliability could be a farmer's best ally. In red paint and steel, the Farmall M embodied the determination of a nation that never stopped working, no matter how hard the land fought back. Number 10. Allis-Chalmers WC. While John Deere and Ford often dominate tractor history, there's one name that deserves just as much respect: Allis-Chalmers. And the model that put them on the map was the Allis-Chalmers WC, a bright orange marvel that combined innovation, affordability, and practicality like no other tractor of its time. Introduced in 1933, the WC was designed to give American farmers a powerful yet affordable machine during the darkest days of the Great Depression. It was one of the first production tractors to use pneumatic rubber tires instead of steel wheels, a game-changing improvement that offered better traction, smoother rides, and faster field speeds. That simple innovation alone made farming less grueling and more efficient. Under the hood, the WC housed a 201 cubic inch four-cylinder engine, producing about 22 to 30 horsepower, modest but highly efficient. It was designed for versatility, capable of handling plowing, cultivating, and belt-driven machinery with ease. Allis-Chalmers engineers made the tractor intentionally simple, with easy access to parts and a straightforward layout, ensuring it could be maintained by farmers themselves, a key advantage in a cash-strapped economy. The WC wasn't just smart mechanically, it was brilliant economically. Allis-Chalmers mass-produced key components like engines and gearboxes using modern manufacturing methods that allowed them to sell the WC at a lower price than competitors while still turning a profit. By doing so, they gave farmers struggling through the Depression an affordable lifeline, a dependable machine that could transform a man's productivity overnight. Between 1933 and 1948, Allis-Chalmers built around 78,000 WC tractors, making it one of the best-selling tractors in the company's history. It laid the groundwork for later Allis models like the WD and WD-45, which continued the brand's reputation for reliability. The WC's impact went beyond numbers. It proved that innovation could be affordable and that even in hard times, progress didn't have to stop. Farmers who once worked sunup to sundown with horses suddenly had the power to do twice as much in half the time. Today, the Allis-Chalmers WC is often seen gleaming at antique tractor shows, its bright orange paint still catching the light, a reminder of the days when American ingenuity met determination head-on. The WC may not have been the loudest legend, but it was one of the most important, the tractor that quietly pulled America through its toughest decade. If you love classic machines and the history of the tractors that built our world, hit that like button, subscribe, and join us on the next journey into the past. Until then, keep those engines running and keep the land alive.